everyone, this is our roundup for week 4 of the HCS Pro Series. I'm joined again by Alex Knighty himself. How are you, Alex? How have you been doing this week?
I've been good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, fine again. Nothing new or exciting from my end. I watched a bit of the NS side with the watch party with your team over there. You didn't cast this week. Will you be back gracing our screens this week?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to make sure to take care of this weekend. We got some new stuff coming up we've been working on. We've been working pretty hard on this. I've been more stepping back and doing a production role and, kind of letting the other guys take over the casting. But for this weekend, I definitely am going to make sure that I put all of my efforts in and bring the best show possible. I'm really excited about working on a new project like this.
First up on our roundup this week, we have the Latin American region and a video from our friends again over at Halo Colombia.
Hey everyone, I'm Biological from Halo Colombia, and I will tell you about what happened this week, the week 4 in the Halo 5 Pro Series here in LATAM. This week we have a vibrant series with more than 13 teams inscribed in the bracket. Everybody is playing against to win this pool prize, and we have a little surprises. First one, in the third place, we have Premier B2, the team formed by 3 Colombian and 1 Mexican player, and Axio Gaming. This team show up to rise the third team in the bracket and is confirmed by 4 Mexican players. Also, we have again our sub-champion, Fire and Ice, formed by 3 Mexican and 1 Colombian player. And our champion this week is Just LATAM. Let's name it Liga del Mal. Now it's Just LATAM, formed by Tapping Bottoms, Atso and Drift, top of the Mexican players, and Pelugot, one of the top Colombian players. So this week, Just LATAM again win the champions, win the pool prize, and win the first spot. But who knows, the next week maybe we can see another team, another rise, or some roster change. Keep in mind, keep in change, and keep it synchronized the Halo 5 Pro Series here in LATAM. Thanks.
Thanks again to our friends over in Halo Colombia for that video and the roundup. Knighty, it's Just LATAM. They take the region again this week, beating Fire and Ice. Of course, they lost that first game. It was an oddball, and then they bounced back to win 3-1 in the end. We're seeing some really competitive battles down there this week. Is that exciting to see?
I really like the rivalry that we're witnessing because it's Tapping Buttons taking on Magic Buttons, and it's also Atso and Drift taking on their teammates Bullet and Noble that we saw at the Halo World Championship so many times. And we're also seeing Pelugot, who is considered one of the best players in the entire area, the number 1 player in Colombia, facing off with some of the best players in the entire region. Getting to be able to team with Tapping Buttons just period is fantastic because he is just so amazing to watch. I always say that, but I can't say it enough, honestly. Like, it's just amazing how much growth he has shown throughout Halo 5's life cycle, and I think when Infinite comes around, man, he's gonna be so big for that region. He's going to make it come to life if we get the content really surrounding him and his story. He's really just going to be like the Pistola of that entire area of the world, and it's just great to see. And then Pelugot's right behind him with his ability. 12-1, that's a fantastic record out of Just LATAM. I'm really happy to see how well they're doing, and like I said, they got some competition, and that's awesome to see. Running JM, definitely want to say some good things about him. He's shown a lot of progression as far as his individual ability, and everybody in those 2 teams has just been putting in some work, and that's fantastic because in the next year we've got a lot of work to do as far as players competing for money. There's going to be a lot of money being thrown into the pot now, and now's the time to start getting the practice in, and they're doing it.
Week 4 over in the ANZ region seen come out on top for a 4th week in a row. The guys over in Halo Australia didn't actually, unfortunately, cover it this week, and they haven't sent us over a video this week, but we have our own Knighty who's going to tell us a wee bit about it anyway. On top, winners again, 4 weeks in a row. but they did drop a map this week, showing in fact that they are in fact human. Does that give you a bit of hope for the region, Knighty?
Well, they have bled. The gods down there, they've had some momentum being gained, and it looked like they just could not be stopped. They were going undefeated, and yes, they did drop a Slayer 50-43 to Authority, which is Ninjestics, Piprons Jr., and, you know, maybe that shows a little bit of life from their competition. But at the same time, there is a lot of catching up to do. They have incredible chemistry that's been built over the years, and something like that cannot just be torn down overnight. Madzy, Slays, Berserk, Barcode, I think they have a really firm handle on the entire region. It's going to take an absolute miracle for anyone to come in there and to take that top spot from them. Their team name is on top for a reason, because they're going to stay there for a while, and they're looking so darn good. I really would like to see if they've tried or attempted. I haven't talked to any of them. I haven't seen any scrims or practices outside of their region. And I know that's almost ridiculous to say, because it's so difficult to get the schedules down. The servers are just, you know, the delay is insane. But I'd love to see that. I'd love to see if they could possibly try to get the games in with some other people. And it's so easy to tilt when you're trying to get that practice in, and the game's connection doesn't work in your favor. But I would like to see this team reach another level. So if they could possibly get in touch with better teams from Europe or America that are willing to work with them, that would be fantastic. But honestly, I'm not really too worried about them. I think if they were to come over to North America and compete in a LAN, I think they definitely would secure a top 16 spot for sure. If these guys are looking great, they're gaining a lot of confidence in their ability and their team's ability. And from what I've seen, their level of play is definitely top notch.
North America now, and it was the very first open tournament after the pro tournament that we seen Sentinels win. Unlike previous weekends, the open tournament this time didn't see the top 8 that finished the pro tournament enter, and of course then it made it a far more open contest. Passion was the winners this weekend. Knighty, just give us a bit of a roundup of what happened in the region, you know, your own region, and you know, a bit of a breakdown in general.
Well, a lot of the top amateur competitors that have been putting in a lot of time were at the top. You know, we saw names that we see a lot of, which is like Scariotic and Envor, people that have been putting in a lot of work, like Crossfade, Sorrel, Stress, Brainstorm. Throughout the entire tournament, they were playing great. We saw a decent tournament out of Super CC. That was one of the guys that I've been really hyping up lately. Unfortunately, his team was only able to place second, and that was a little surprising to me, because it was commonly in Straight Sick on that team, and those guys are incredible. Straight Sick is an FFA world champion, commonly is an event winner. He's a gold medalist at, you know, the X Games. So it's like that team looks like it is incredible individually, but you just can't go off names sometimes. Sometimes rosters just don't mesh, and that Flyers team is one of those occasions where you just have all the right puzzle pieces, but they just didn't fit correctly, because Passion came out on top, and they looked so good. Honestly, I couldn't believe how well they were being able to pull off some plays. No matter how many big things Commonly was able to do, because, I mean, he was honestly one of the ones that I was looking at, and I was just like, wow, he is really stepping it up. Envor, Nebula, Septify, they were just going off at every time they needed to. They were really pulling off an incredible tournament, going 15-2 overall. Suppressed is a name that I haven't seen too much in the tournament rotations. I was surprised to see him. He's a triplet. He's actually a brother of the free-for-all winner at DreamHack at the beginning of the year. and he's winning events now, and that's pretty awesome to see. He's one of those guys that he comes out of nowhere and is able to put up some big numbers, able to hang with the big boys. I think he's 19 years old, so that's a guy that we definitely have to look out for, one of the new up-and-comers in the scene. Nebula, he's been around. He's been competing around the 9th through 16th place teams pretty consistently back when Halo 5 was really booming, so he knows how it is to compete with the best. And then Envor and Septify, they're the guys that have been really, really putting in a lot of work, and it's paid off.
So, Knighty, we go into the pro tournament this weekend. What's your thoughts? What do we want to look out for this weekend?
Yeah, out of these teams that have made it, I don't really see too much going on as far as like players and teams that can compete. There's a lot of competition starting to pile up, and this Passion team maybe have a chance. They could possibly make something happen. They looked really good, but as far as making a top 4 placing at the end, I'm not really going to give that to any of these rosters that happened over this past weekend. I think this pro event coming up is going to be the same old, same old. It's going to be Sentinels at the end. With whatever team can really catch fire. Who's it going to be? Inconceivable. Are we going to see another no ice upset? Are they going to be able to? I know they've been putting in a lot of time. Are they going to be able to put forth that same huge effort they did in the last pro tournament? I mean, that was incredible. I know a lot of people would like to see that. Get some new names in there that just stick, that are the new cemented talent in our community. I know I'd love to see it. That's definitely what I'm rooting for, but I can't go against my gut. My gut says Sentinels will be taking it, and we'll see like a Magnanimous or an Inconceivable up there in the top 4. But yeah, and also none of these open teams really have a chance. I hate to say it, but it's just we're not there yet. As soon as we start to gain a little bit more momentum with the tournaments, things get a little bit more serious, a little bit more money gets piled in there, and Infinite is just right around the corner. That's when we're going to start seeing some God squads start to appear, and we start seeing some people get super, super serious.
Europe now, Cartel proved that they could do it against the big boys of Power with a 3-0 victory over them in the grand final to maintain a perfect record this week as well, 12-0 I think it was, or 15-0. Shady and Legend again performing really well with some impressive stats. Knighty, it was probably the dream matchup with 2 full-strength squads. Legend was back this time, but Cartel didn't flinch at all, it seemed, and they dismissed Power with somewhat ease at some points anyway. What was your takeaway from the weekend?
That's exactly what I took away from it, was the ease of it. I never noticed that in any of the previous weeks. I never noticed that in any of their previous finals. Cartel was just at home. They have realized their potential. They have gained the confidence they need, and now they understand they're on the top, and they're capable of even more. They are going to grow from this. They're going to learn more. And, I talked to SLG back in 2017 when he came to America to compete, and the guy was just filled with questions. He was always trying to learn something new. He was always trying to get involved with, better players. He was walking around. We were at the bar, and he was just trying to talk to everybody he could. He wanted to learn as much as he could and get involved with as many great players as he can so that he can put himself into a position where one day he's on a world championship team. That's what I saw in that guy's eyes. That kid is really, he's headed somewhere, and he's going to use Legend and Shady to get there, because Legend and Shady played out of their minds once again. Shady, I didn't think he could have played better than what he played the week previous, but he did. He was able to do it all. He is overall one of the greatest players in EU at the moment. Legend is just a pure slaying machine. The guy is just unstoppable individually. It's tough to get into an individual battle with that guy. Battling him is just super stressful for any of them. Even if you're Kimbo, Jimbo, Mose, or Snipe Drone, it doesn't matter. This Legend kid is a real deal. Once again, there's a question mark. How are these guys going to do under the lights? How are they going to do when it's in person on LAN? But honestly, I've never seen players like this ever not perform once they got to that position. When they play like this, when they have this kind of discipline, and they have this type of ability as a unit, as a team, going 15-0 in an online tournament, they're gonna have something to say when it comes to the big stage, and I can't wait to see what that is.
Daddy, we go into the final weekend of the Open Cups in Europe anyway, and there's a lot of teams that'll be hoping they make the cut for the season finale. We've seen some really good teams make top 8 and top 4, the likes of Austrian Force, Question Reality, who were named Skitlight at the start of the season, and even Premium Milk. They've made 3 top 8 finishes so far this year, or in the season for Europe. Is there any players or any teams that could sort of break the mold as we come into this last Open tournament for a top 8 or a top 4 finish that you can see?
A top 4 finish is going to be... It's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. Getting past Mockett, getting past Lunny, Snaky, Shabby. It's going to be an effort like no other. They're going to have to really clutch up some seriously close games. I know Sticka is capable of it. I've seen his plays, but it really comes down to creating the right roster and putting in the time. And so far, the top 4 teams are they're in there. They have all the experience in the world. They've been playing Halo 5 just that much longer at a much higher level, and they're locked in. Honestly, Bashford, Looney, Precision Knight, and Squashy, they look great. They've been playing out of their minds. I'm just looking for them to maybe possibly bring the heat and take it to Cartel one of these times. But Cartel just looks so unbeatable. I don't think any of these other teams, Austrian Force, Receding, any of them could possibly make a top 4. It's great to see them, possibly learning from the top 4 teams. Like, I think that's the best part about it, is seeing that they're growing and they're just going to be bringing that momentum into Infinite.
We've seen some impressive stats again. Just we'll take a quick take at these, but some really guys who have been consistent over the weeks with their KDs and with their average contributions per game. Who this week stood out for you?
Well, you can't not talk about Legend and Shady's individual performances. Their numbers are always insane. If you have a team that's going 15-0 in the tournament, you're going to have that Royal 2 type number where it's just off the charts. And I believe Legend had another week like that. Legend and Shady together did, and that was fantastic to see. Also, what's to note, is Snipe Drone's been up there a while, but I think Snipe Drone individually had one of his best tournaments this time around. Not just looking at numbers, but watching his gameplay, I was really happy to see where Snipe Drone's level of play is going. I think he is really putting more time in. I can't say that for sure, but just the proof is in the pudding. I think a lot of the times I was seeing some great plays come out of him. Power went 12-4, and they definitely are getting back into the swing of things. I'd like to see them put up more of a fight against Cartel next time, because that was a whooping that they put on him. It didn't even look close.
So that's Knighty's standout performers of the week, but who again made the official Europa Halo team of the week? Let's ask Sherzy once again.
Yes, it's that time, and as the dust settles, there's very little time for respite before we go again. Cartel doing a flawless run and not dropping a map was impressive. If they didn't have your attention before, they better now. Can they solidify themselves as the best team in Europe? We'll have to wait and see. Kumbo makes his debut in Team of the Week with a KDA of 2.74, the highest in the competition. Up next, Snipe Drone, third in the competition for KDA and first for accuracy. Okay, Mike, I see you. Shady, in at number 3. Nobody sent more Spartans to the Netherrealm per game than the Frenchman, with an average of 16.75 kills. Sweet Jesus! And rounding us out, it's Legend. He has hit top 4 in all of our key stats this week, putting in consistent performances game in, game out. And that just about does it for me. Stay safe, folks. See you again next time.
So guys, that's it for week 4 of our roundup. Some big guns already through to the pro tournament in North America, but it was Passion who took the prize this week in the Open tournament. The Open Cups all had the same result as week 3. All teams that won in week 3 or won in week 4 for each of the regions. And we go to pretty much an exciting weekend of another pro tournament and the last Open tournaments in the other regions before their season finales. My thanks again to Knighty. Any parting comments for us today?
Yes, sir. Anytime. I'm just happy to have everybody participating and watching the events, making sure to broadcast in their selective regions. It's awesome to see how much work you guys have been putting in, and I'm happy to bring the show over in the NA as well. If anybody has any type of requests for the NA side of things from Europe, then feel free to message me on Twitter, or just leave the comments on this YouTube video. But other than that, thanks for having me again, buddy.
Alright guys, that's going to do us. We'll see you all next week when we round up week 5.